that might mean you need to hit the button that says, got it.
Button that says got it, I don't see.
Do you see, oh, maybe it's just for me. I don't know if
Okay.
it's set up a little particular. Yeah, it may just be for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think because you're not going to be recorded. Good. So if you want to start on your back with your knees bent, and we're just going to take a little bit of time on our backs, come to hands and knees, to the belly, and back to the back. So like I said, it's going to be a nice floor practice, and we call this restore and reconnect. So just allowing your back body to come to the floor, knees bent. Arms can be just a little bit away from your body. Palms up if that's comfortable, palms down if you prefer. And just starting by taking a little bit of time to notice the back body, breathing. Thought I was going to need those, I'm plenty warm. Feeling the back, feeling your ribs, maybe even placing your hands gently on the rib cage as you breathe in and breathe out. And taking 2 more breaths like this, just breathing in. You're welcome to breathe in through the nose and out across pursed lips. Welcome everyone who's joining. We're here in a floor practice. So if you want to find a space where you can be on the floor, comfortable. We're just taking a couple of moments here to land, allowing the bones of the back body to settle just a little bit, taking 3 nice, easy breaths. And then we're just going to gently begin a range of motion sequence. So I'm going to start with my head, taking a breath in with the head on straight. And on the out breath, just gently turning to look over your right shoulder. And not forcing anything, just allowing the weight of the head and neck to turn, and then gently coming back to center with an in-breath. And exhaling to the left on the out-breath. Taking that again, breathing in, feeling the weight of the bones, weight of the head and skull. Hopefully there's a quality of softening through the neck and throat. Breathing in and breathing out. Bringing your head back to center. Taking your hands either to your hips. You're welcome to take a hold of the right leg. You could take it from behind the thigh, above the knee, or below the knee, whatever works to draw the knee gently towards the chest. And then I'm going to release it away just a little bit, holding on to the back of my thigh, interlacing the fingers there, and beginning to circle the ankle. So we're just nice and easy drawing big circles with the big toe, taking them the other way. And then pulling the toes towards the knee, pushing the toes away. So easing into a little bit of flexion, extension of the ankle joint. If it's possible, feeling the toes, the ball of the foot articulating back and forth. And then when you're ready, we're going to go ahead and gently press the heel of the foot up to the ceiling, extending the knee, and then bringing it back down again, pointing the toe, bending the knee, flexing the ankle, straightening the knee. Back and forth a couple of times, feeling your thigh bone dropping back towards the floor, the weight of the leg. One more time. And then I'm going to begin to send my leg out into a range of motion like I'm pedaling a bicycle. So I'm going to lower my leg all the way down toward the floor, hovering just above the floor, draw the knee in, pushing it back up, letting it reach away. In and out a few times. Leaving the trunk, head, neck, shoulders, and arms as soft and heavy as you can allow them to remain while you're articulating your leg. And then I'm going to reverse the direction, sending the leg up, pushing the heel down and away, and back up again. One more time. And once the leg comes up above me, I'm going to bend the knee, let the ankle come to the opposite knee, and take a moment just to let that thigh relax into the hip joint, feeling the weight of the bones. And I'm going to add a little bit of a contraction now. I'm going to press my right hand into my right thigh, and the right thigh is going to press back into my hand. And my left hand is here on my left hip, just to sort of gently guide the left side of the hip to stay firm to the floor, rather than pushing and feeling a twist or a torque in my low back. I want to just kind of feel firm in the trunk, energy through that arm, through the thigh, and then gently relax the contraction. You might wag your knee a little bit. Draw that left knee towards you if that feels comfortable. If you prefer to remain here with the foot on the floor, go right ahead. It's just an opportunity to feel a little bit of stretch in the outside edge of the right thigh. You might find that it's helpful to begin connecting to core, right? If you wanted to lift and lower that leg. So using a moment here for yourselves, just improvising a little bit around my shape and noticing, can you connect to center? How's your breath? What's the trunk feel like? And lastly, I'm going to go ahead and send that heel up to the ceiling, reaching up. Lower the leg till it's just hovering a few inches off the floor. Again, just trying to keep my trunk steady. And then I'm going to let my left arm float overhead, reaching the fingertips away from the sole of the foot. And now my whole center is firm and strong, feeling the lumbar curve or my low back on the floor. Breathing. Finally, letting that leg come all the way down, letting the arm come all the way down, shake out the toes, let that hip relax. And we're going to take all of that with the left leg. So the left knee comes towards the chest, holding on, give it a squeeze, releasing away just a little bit, and then circling the ankle. Circling the other way. If it helps you to close your eyes and just listen to the sound of my voice, please feel free to. If you prefer to leave the eyes open, that's welcome as well. I'm flexing the whole leg now, bending the knee, pointing the toes, flexing the heel, extending the knee, and then letting that movement come into a bicycle pass. So bicycling out through that left leg, drawing the knee in, pressing up, down and away. Easy does it. Firm in the trunk, connecting to core, feeling your lower ribs, maybe connecting towards the top of the hips through that abdominal wall, the obliques, reversing direction. If anatomical names don't sound good or helpful to you, maybe just thinking of stiffening the trunk so that you feel firm. Your back of your hips, the back of the ribs, the back of the shoulders. And then finally, I'm going to let that knee bend, externally rotate, let that knee come open, my ankles rest back into my hand. So I've got an isometric contraction through the left side of my body, feeling firm through the trunk, breathing into the back ribs or armpits if you can. Feeling the expansion of your trunk. And then when you're ready, release that contraction. Wag the knee a little bit. And then if you like, bringing that right knee up toward you and back down. You're welcome to pause up here, interlace your fingers behind the right thigh and draw the leg closer. Taking a moment for yourselves to notice what feels interesting in this practice. Don't feel obliged to bring that right foot off the floor. You're welcome just to hang out there. And then finally extending that right leg up to the sky, lowering the leg down, hovering it just above the floor. Right arm rises to reach. So we're feeling a long cross-lateral pattern from the right side to the left side of the body, firm through the trunk, breathing firm in your right foot. Thorough in your breath. Finally, letting that leg come all the way to ground. The right arm comes down. Go ahead and shake out the toes, letting the hip muscle, that hip flexor muscle release. And then I'm going to invite you to roll onto one side and come over onto hands and knees. If you would like, I have a little blanket under my own knees. I could double it up if I wanted. If you're somewhere where you have that option, that would be great, but it's not necessary. And we're just going to slide into a movement pattern, a little spinal flow. So I'm going to let my hips sink back towards my heels, leaving the arms overhead, letting the head gently fold towards the floor. And then pushing into the shins, lifting the abdomen toward the ceiling, pressing into the palms, the heel of the hands, rolling out into a table pose. And just taking this a few times back and forth. So we're articulating the spine, being really gentle, keeping the breath fluid, and feeling that quality of push from the shoulder blades wrapping around the rib cage down into the heel of your hand. I'm taking a couple more. Using your breath. Rocking the weight forward and back. Easy does it. This time I'm going to come to table pose and just very gently walk the right foot back, tucking the toes under, and give a little stretch to the calf. And continuing to feel that quality of push down through the arms, pressing the floor away. I'm going to change sides. So bending the knee and then reaching back through the left heel, stretching out the calf, toes are tucked under. And coming back. This time, taking the right leg back, just gently lifting. And see if you can maintain that quality of push. So toes are pointing down. If it feels skillful to release the floor with your left arm, you're welcome to, coming into bird dog. If you prefer to keep your hands down, your toes down, feel free to. And then taking it to the other side, sending the left leg back, reaching up through the heel, continuing to lift the spine towards the ceiling. And if it's skillful, release the floor with the right hand, reaching those fingertips away from the back heel, pressing into the right knee and left hand, bringing the hand down, bringing the foot down. We're going to send the hips back to a classic child's pose, where our hips come down towards the heels. I prefer to just sort of let my belly lie on the thighs, but some folks may want to open their thighs a little bit so that there's room for belly or chest, and come down a little closer. The other thing you can do is stack your fists and just let your forehead come to rest, right? Often this gets taught where the head comes down even more deeply. If that feels accessible, great. If it feels helpful to be up a little bit more, that's great. And I'm going to invite you while you're here just to take a few breaths into your back ribs. So thinking about broadening your back body as you breathe. Noticing if you can allow your shoulder blades to broaden, soften. And if it's uncomfortable for you to breathe here, make note of that. And I might even just gently change your position. Let your hands come, your elbows come long, pressing and breathing into the back here with a little bit more support from the arms. So really make this feel like it's comfortable for you. And if you can find a position where your back and armpits broaden with the breath, that's great. Slowing down your out breath if you can. Let's take one, feeling the firm press of the palms either in the floor or that curled fist under your forehead, or if you're all the way down, just feeling your contact points with the floor, with the ground. And when you're ready, we're going to release forward onto the abdomen. So I'm going to go ahead and walk my knees back a little bit, just adjusting in the space I'm in, lowering down all the way onto the belly. If you need to look and watch once, if you're not familiar with Sphinx pose, I'm going to take a beat here. I'm going to reach back through my toes. So my legs are really active. My hips are going to press down into the floor. My hands are going to press down into the floor, and I'm going to slide my elbows under my shoulders, directly under the shoulders. If that feels like too much of an arc, you might walk your elbows forward and let it be a slightly smaller back bend. For some folks, just lying on the abdomen with your head on your forehead on your hands is a big back bend, right? So make this work for you. If you've been seated all day, it can be a bit of a stretch to the front of the hips, right? Taking the front of the thighs in the opposite direction, reaching back through the toes. And here again, notice if you can broaden the back body, lengthen through the crown of the head, and breathe a little bit into the back, into the armpits, pressing down active through the whole body here. Good. Taking one more breath. And when you're ready, go ahead and support your weight, pressing the floor away, lowering down slowly, and then letting the forehead come to rest on your hands. Taking a couple of breaths here. If you'd like, you might bend your knees and just let your feet windshield wipe from side to side, just a little rock, and release the low back. Let it be super lazy, soft. Again, maybe feeling into the bones of your thighs, the muscles of your thighs, getting a little smushed from one side to the other. I'm going to let the legs lengthen and take Sphinx pose one more time. So you might use an out breath, breathing into the back body. On the out breath, pressing the hands down, reaching the feet back, pressing the hips down, letting the scalp rise up towards the ceiling. Crown of the head is reaching away from your tailbone. The whole body is active. And taking a few breaths here, maybe lifting the lower ribs up toward the back so that you feel connected once more to your core, connecting to the breath, broadening your rib cage. Eyes could be open or closed. Gaze might be just a few feet out in front of you. Some of you might like to turn your head from side to side, very gently looking over one shoulder and then the other. Once more, coming back to center, pressing down into the floor, release the elbows wide, letting your body come down. And the minute you come down, see if you can release all the muscles. Just let everything go soft. Feeling the weight of your bones, feeling the weight of your tissues. And then one more time, bending the knees, letting the feet rock from side to side. And from here, we're going to roll back onto the back body. So if you want to reach one arm overhead, you may need to, as I do, adjust, gently bringing yourself back to the center of a mat or a blanket, whatever you're working on. Drawing the knees to the chest and just gently rocking back and forth. So now we're massaging that low back on the floor. I'm going to let my left foot come back down as we had them before. The left foot is going to sort of root down into the floor here, really feeling a firm contact, extending that right leg. And now I'm going to reach around behind, interlace my fingers, and just let that leg hang out up here. You might play with flexing your heel and then pressing the outside edge of the foot towards the ceiling, coming to center, and then the inside edge. And this can sometimes be particularly intense in the calf muscle up the side of the body. I've noticed with practice for myself, it's gotten less acute, but if this is the first time you've ever tried that, you may notice it has a lot of sensation. I'm going to come back, let the foot relax. I'm going to use my hand. Sometimes if you're familiar with yoga, you might be in a class where you'd have a strap over the foot, or you might hold on, right? Hand to big toe. But I'm just going to bring my right hand to the side of my right thigh. My left hand is helping remind my hips to stay square. So my trunk is strong and firm and stable. And I'm taking my leg only so far as I can manage the load of the thigh and just letting that thigh relax in the hip socket. So I'm not worried about taking that foot down toward the floor. I'm really focused on letting the muscles in the hip socket relax, the thigh relax. And then I'm going to come up to center and take it across. Same thing, I'm just using my elbow bent, so my left elbow is bent. I'm going to let that leg come across and catch the load right about at the knee. And I've got my right arm working as a counterweight, opening out to the side as like a T. And feeling the twist or the stretch up through that side line of my right leg. Breathing into it. Finally pushing that leg back up, bending the knee, letting that right leg come down, drawing the left knee toward the chest. If you like, interlace the fingers. You could also just use gravity, right? Just letting gravity fall down through the thigh bone to the hip socket, flexing the ankle, pressing the right side, outside edge of the foot, to the ceiling, inside edge of the foot. Outside eversion and inversion of the ankle joint. And just noticing how that feels. Sometimes loosening up these sidelines of our legs can help loosen up the hamstrings, which can be awfully tight. Coming to center, I'm going to use my left hand now, catching the load of my left thigh, right hand to the right hip, helping to stabilize the trunk, staying firm and really focused on letting gravity and relaxation act on that thigh, letting it relax in the hip socket. Not trying to get crazy and opening. Coming up to center, using that arm to push and then letting that weight gently drop across the midline of the body, catching the leg with my right hand, left arm opens. You may even want to turn your gaze to the left side away from your foot, if that feels skillful in your spine. And breathing. Gently coming back up to center. Bending that knee in one more time, just taking both knees to the chest, rocking back and forth. Easy does it. Good. Letting both feet come down. Before our final relaxation, let's just take a bridge pose. And I like to suggest or offer that this bridge pose is more in the lower half and not so much in the upper thoracic or upper spine, which can often get cued. So I would just recommend taking a breath in with the spine in neutral And on the out breath, gently tucking your tailbone, activating the legs, lifting your hips so that they come up in line between the knees and the shoulders, kind of, right? Letting the sternum and the chest and rib cage remain heavy against the floor. Feeling the back of the neck, the throat, the weight of the skull. Pausing here, taking a couple of breaths here if it's skillful. You're welcome to come up and down if that feels better, lowering the spine and then lifting up again. If you'd like to try, I'm going to add just one arm gesture here. So my hips are up in the air in my bridge. I'm going to bring my arms up overhead, reaching for the space behind me, over my head, the opposite wall, and from my toes. So I'm feeling the space between my toes and my fingers. And then I'm going to roll my backbone down to the floor, feeling the whole of the back soften. And once my spine is down, letting the arms slowly come back down by your side. Taking a moment to notice, can you let your shoulder blades kind of soften and maybe float on top of the rib cage? So we're gonna do that one more time. We'll do it all in one flow. So taking a breath in. On the out breath, gently tucking the tailbone, lifting the hips, letting the spine kind of neutralize. Front of the thighs open, glutes are engaged, pelvic floor, legs are pressing down, feet are pressing down into the floor, into the earth. Arms are going to float up overhead, soft in the sternum. I'm not trying to push into extension in my spine. I'm trying to leave it broad and soft. Controlling the descent, rolling down through the backbone. Maybe notice there might be a little bit of a tissue tug on your arms. When you're ready, let the arms begin moving back down by your side. You might even stop at 90 degrees and actively release the shoulder blades back into the earth. And then bring the arms down from there, letting them be soft. And then from here, you might want to extend your legs. You're welcome to let them go long, or you might want to bend, let the knees stay bent, let the knees come in towards each other, walking your feet towards the outer edge of your mat like this. Some of you might even want to cross the arms over your chest, folding the elbows and letting the arms drop back into the floor, into the weight of your body. And just taking a couple of slow, steady breaths here. Breathing into the back. Letting the back body soften or yield a little more deeply on your exhales. If you're someone who has crossed your arms over your chest, you might just now gently open the arms and switch. Whichever arm was on top comes on to the bottom, other arm comes on top. And taking a couple of breaths here, letting each exhalation just soften you a little bit more deeply, reconnecting to the ground, restoring the connection to your breath, to your body, mind. One last breath in and out. Letting the arms open if they were crossed, folding the knees up if they were long, rolling onto one side, pressing the floor away. And coming up. Thank you.